Hi, I'm Darren.
And I'm Anthony.
And this is another episode of Decoded where we're going to talk about some of the news in technology this week. And there's actually a lot to talk about, and especially a lot to talk about when it comes to one particular company, and that company is Microsoft. Last week we talked about Microsoft because Satya Nadella sent out that letter that was very short on the specifics of how his company is going to change, only that the fact that it was going to change.
Letter.
And now we're getting a little bit more unfortunate details, which Microsoft is actually going to be laying off 18,000 jobs in the next year, and almost two-thirds of those coming from the recently acquired Nokia devices.
They're going to try to streamline their productivity, I guess, and try to make... They're probably trying to do catch-up right now because they're all over the place. Nokia phones are the only phones that do Windows. And they do it as well as possible, but they really...
I don't know if they're the only phones, but they're only phones in a significant way that's invested in Windows Phone.
So I guess they're kind of clearing house to kind of come back and make a big grandstand, hopefully soon.
Well, obviously, they've also announced that the Nokia X devices that we talked about, which were the forked Android phones that they announced a couple months ago, they're not going to do those anymore. Those are going to become Lumia devices that run Windows.
Yeah. They're smart. Stick with Windows. I mean, that's what they're good at, so start getting better at it.
Yeah, and I don't think that's so much a surprise. Like those devices came right before they joined Microsoft. So
I do feel bad for the 18,000 people that do not have jobs, but I guess they have to try to figure out how to make it profitable.
Yeah, and I mean, we got another letter from Nadella that was posted earlier this morning on Thursday about, they want to be more agile and they want to move faster. It kind of seems like this tone of old corporate turning into a 21st century corporate
like a startup
structure.
Yeah.
Like they want fewer layers of management. They want things to just be smaller and faster and more efficient. So I guess at this juncture it's kind of like trimming the fat a little bit. And that fat rounds up to about 18,000 jobs.
We're in New York. We've seen corporations do it. I've seen it. I've been around where they just go, okay, usually they hit middle management real hard, get rid of those guys, and come in with and they don't replace them. So guess what? You get to do a lot more work, but it does work.
And we got two bits of Xbox news today as well.
Oh yeah.
Specifically, the Xbox Entertainment Studio will no longer be a thing.
Right, so we will not.
Gone.
We will not be getting our TV shows.
I think that's about 200 jobs. They announced that Steven Spielberg would be executive producing a Halo series. I believe any project announced is still going to happen, but the future they're not. They're not going to compete with Netflix. They're not going to compete with all those.
No, they got to stick to their strengths right now.
And talking about sticking with their strengths, so connectless Xboxes sold double.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. We were talking about this earlier, where now I just feel like Kinect is this little, straggler. Then we're never going to get any great Kinect games, and now it's just sitting in my room, and I'm waiting for another awesome Kinect game. And then they announced the Kinect for Windows, which if I wanted, I'd have to go and buy again. So this is just, I have this horizontal brick that's just sitting there.
I mean, maybe the silver. I'm just digging for a silver lining here, but maybe the silver lining is
a third-party company giving me an adapter.
Well, the silver lining is I'm hoping things like this completely botched Xbox One vision. I mean, I was excited about it when it was announced. Unfortunately, the price point didn't work out for him or whatever. But now it is. But it's an unrecognizable. I mean, everything they said. It's gone.
they just.
But maybe in this post, firing this Nadella era,
they're cleaning it up.
We'll have less of a problem with unfocused visions on products.
Sure. Look, they already started with the new Gold, where I'm getting some discounts on games and even some free games. That's good. At least they're doing something for us. I'm getting my $50 worth. Hopefully, is what I want to say.
I mean, I just think it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Nokia.
Yeah, I want to see what happens to the
Finnish
phones.
company.
Maybe they'll just concentrate on premiums. I think that's what we read too. That it's going to be just premium line from now on. So all right, let's see.
They'll still probably try to hit emerging markets because I still think that their phones do really well in non-US markets. So I mean, there's some countries where I think they actually are the number one phone. So I mean, we'll see what happens, and it's just kind of unfortunate for Microsoft employees right now. But
ouch.
We'll see what happens.
Looking for work.
Other big news coming from other big companies.
Again.
This is not confirmed, but there was a very interesting rumor that Samsung is interested in entering smart homes in a big way, and like lots of big companies, they're just going to buy their way in.
Yeah.
And they are going to offer SmartThings, which was a smart home Kickstarter.
Yep.
They raised $1.2 million, which I believe was almost like 5 times what their original asking price.
Amazing Kickstarter.
And
I hope it goes through.
they got $15 million more in funding.
Yeah.
They are going to possibly get snatched up by Samsung for $200 million, which is another example of a Kickstarter big buyout. You know,
that's just awesome. I just love to hear that kind of stuff.
But this is, I mean, I've met with the SmartThings CEO. He's a great guy. I'm happy for that team over there. That was at CES. I'm happy for that team over there, and I think it's actually kind of a great. It's an interesting platform that I think is really, really, really going to benefit from Samsung's deep pockets when it comes to advertising. I think it's a great platform that no one really knows about yet. You know,
it's been. We talked about it again earlier, where I've been trying to get my home automated for years now, and now it's going to happen within the next year or so. Everybody's got a Google.
You want
Apple.
that Jetsons lights app?
I do want it. I don't have the dog or the treadmill yet, but I will get it as soon as it's ready. Somebody's got to make that, and then I'll have Rosie.
You might be the only person I know who is considering buying a dog as soon as he gets a smart home.
I need the smart home. I need the smart treadmill. It's silly. You think some of this stuff like, oh, you don't need a smart home. But when you're not home during the day and I want to turn on my sprinklers, it would be nice to just be able to see it and click a button and have it turn on.
And another interesting facet of this is earlier in the week, they also announced another wireless protocol called Thread, which Samsung is a partner with, also with Nest and a couple other companies, which is basically the same as like Z-Wave and Zigbee and Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the ways to connect these devices together. Now you're talking about Samsung possibly looking into SmartThings, now possibly being able to communicate, friendly with Nest, which is obviously the other big
let's
smart
hope
home
everybody
platform.
keeps talking and it doesn't become, one of those wars where you're like, oh, okay, now I'm just using SmartThings. Oh, I have a Nest, but I want SmartThings, but I already spent $300 in Nest. Oh man, what am I going to do? So hopefully, all the large companies are very friendly to each other, and this protocol stays open.
So do you think SmartThings gives Samsung a serious horse in this race?
Yeah, definitely. You could see it if you go to smartthings.com. It looks smart.
And it has a very dedicated community that kind of, not so much hacks the system, but like tinkers with it to make it work through certain scenarios.
You need it to work with everything. You want your lights to work. You want your switches to work. You want to be able to come home and just have it ready for you. And I think we're going to see that happen in probably by Christmas, I think. That's going to be the big push.
And another thing we like to do on Decoded, obviously, is show you some of the cool stuff we're getting in.
Yeah. So we just got this in.
But we just took it out of the box.
Yeah, we just took it out of the box. So the LG
that is
smartwatch.
The LG G Watch running Android Wear. We've seen some other Android Wear watches, some other smartwatches. How does this compare to things that you've tested for Popular Mechanics so far? We're talking about the gear. We're talking about the
I would say probably so far the Gear Fit from Samsung is my favorite because of the curve. It's smaller and curved, so you don't really notice. It's more like a bracelet than a watch. My next step up from that would probably be, again, maybe the Moto that we saw. The Moto was pretty damn good because it's circular, looks more like a watch. But I do like the Gear 2 because I can answer phone calls on it.
Right.
I do like that little Star Trek beam me up kind of talking, which is way cool.
Now, there are some people who, I've read a couple articles this week that talked about, do we even want smartwatches?
Yes, we do. There's the answer. Everybody wants one.
Well, I think Android Wear offers, what I like about Android Wear in comparison to Samsung's.
It's Android. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, but also
everybody's got the same menu.
But it's also a significantly different offering to Samsung's Tizen based. It's a different kind of. It's like Google Now on your wrist.
Yeah, that's exactly
not
what
trying to do absolutely everything your phone can do, but it's also trying to be a more convenient watch that works well and is reliable.
It's more of a watch with notifications rather than an all-encompassing tiny little phone on your wrist.
Exactly.
But it's fine. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to take this for a real test drive and look for the review soon. I think it's gonna be fun. I think there's so many things coming out. It's all gonna come down to personal preference. That's what it's gonna be. Right now, that looks pretty cool. I did something to it. Yeah, it says take a note to drink more water.
Okay.
So I'm gonna write that down.
We'll see what that's all about later.
Yeah, and the last thing we're gonna talk about is We're going to be Decoded's going to go dark for a little bit because this poor soul is leaving us.
I am moving on to other things, but I don't think Decoded's going away.
No,
You just
it'll
need to
come
find
back in another form. So
hopefully a more attractive form. I hear
yeah.
you want to get a more
well,
beautiful co-host.
We'll get something prettier than you if that's possible. We'll start looking at all the dating websites.
Oh,
so
I don't think they check for co-hosts on
until
OkCupid,
now. But yeah,
But
so
anyways.
we're wishing him luck. He's going to go on to do great things. So keep looking for him.
My bylines will still be on the interwebs.
Yeah,
and other
you'll be able to
places,
find him quickly. And he's a
But
rising
I'm
star.
going to sign it off for the last
All right,
time. If that's
sign it
cool with
off.
you.
Do it.
So I'm Darren,
And I'm Anthony.
and this is Decoded.